Hola, estudiantes. This lesson is on indirect objects and indirect object pronouns for capítulo 8. To review, you need to make sure that you understand what a direct object is. So, ¿qué es un objeto directo? Un objeto directo contesta quién o qué después del verbo. So, it identifies who or what after the verb. Again, this is a review from chapter 7. Yo compré un boleto. I bought what? So, un boleto es el objeto directo. I bought what? A ticket. Te vi a la fiesta. I saw you at the party. I saw who or I saw what? I saw you. So, te, you, is our indirect object, or our direct object, sorry. Quiero comprar una maleta rosada. I want to buy a pink suitcase. I want to buy what? Una maleta rosada. So that's our direct object. Facturé el equipaje, por favor. Check your luggage, please. Check what? El equipaje. Okay, and as far as direct object pronouns, we would use those to replace the direct object. So we would have me, te, lo or la, nos, los, or las. Again, this is all a review from capítulo 7. So if you have any questions on that, go back and look at that video and do the practice activities from capítulo 7. As far as placements for direct object pronouns, again, this is a review. It goes before the conjugated verb. Yo lo compré, I bought a ticket, I bought it, yo lo compré. Or it goes attached to the infinitive if there's two verbs and one is not conjugated, one's in the infinitive form, then you can attach it to the end. Yo tengo que comprar un boleto, yo tengo que comprarlo. If we have a command, we would attach it to the end, cómprelo, buy it. Or if we have a negative command, then it goes before. So, no lo compré usted. Don't buy it. Okay, so this is all a review for direct objects from capítulo 7. But in capítulo 8, we're talking about los objetos indirectos. So, what's an indirect object? Bueno, un objeto directo contesta la pregunta a quién, to whom, or para quién, for whom, después del verbo. So it tells to whom or for whom the action is intended. So we have this sentence. Juan wrote to his brother. So Juan wrote to whom? He wrote to his brother. So to his brother es el objeto indirecto. That's your indirect object. Oftentimes the to in English is omitted. So we could say Juan wrote his brother, and it would be expressed the same way as Juan wrote to his brother. So if you have a sentence like that in English, make sure you're really clarifying. Is it to somebody? So for example, if you wanted to translate Juan wrote his brother, ask yourself, can I also express this sentence as Juan wrote to his brother? And if you can, then you will know that that is a indirect object and not a direct object. Here's another example. Juan spoke to his mother and his father. So he spoke to whom? So to his mother and his father is the objeto indirecto. All right, let's talk about los pronombres del objeto indirecto. These are your IOPs. In Chapter 7, we had your DOPs. Chapter 8, we have IOPs, indirect object pronouns. And then in Chapter 9, we're going to be putting them all together. We're going to be using direct and indirect object pronouns together. So los pronombres del objeto indirecto son me, te, le, nos, les. So as you will notice, they are very similar to the direct object pronouns. The only difference is the le and les. You also need to know that while they are the same word in Spanish, they do have different meanings. So me would mean to or for me. Te, to or for you. Le, to or for him, her, or usted. Nos, to or for us. Les, to or for them, or ustedes. Now, this is a tricky part. En español, cuando tenemos un objeto indirecto, tenemos que tener un pronombre del objeto indirecto también. So, what does that mean? In Spanish, when we have an indirect object in our sentence, we have to have an indirect object pronoun also. So it's like the opposite of the direct object pronouns. With our direct object pronouns, we were replacing the direct object with the direct object pronoun. It's the opposite with indirect objects. We always have the indirect object pronoun. What is optional would be the actual noun. Let's look at some examples. Juan wrote to his brother. So the IO would be his brother. He wrote to whom? To his brother. So his brother is el objeto indirecto. For his brother, the pronoun that we would use would be le, because it's to him. Okay, so we have a sentence like this. Juan escribió a su hermano. Juan wrote to his brother. And so if we directly translate it, that sounds right, but we can't directly translate from one language to another. We know that. And I will tell you that this sentence is not grammatically accurate. So here we have an indirect object in the sentence, and because we have this indirect object, we must also have the indirect object pronoun. So our indirect object pronoun would be le, and then our position placement is going to be the same as it was for the direct object pronouns. So it goes before the conjugated verb. So this just basically says, porque hay un objeto indirecto en la frase, necesitamos un IOP, un pronombre del objeto indirecto también. So because we have the a su hermano in our sentence, we must also have the indirect object pronoun, me, te, le, nos, les. So the correct way to say Juan wrote to his brother in Español would be Juan le escribió a su hermano. So to say Juan wrote to his brother, you would say Juan le escribió a su hermano. The a su hermano part es opcional. So that's optional. Podemos usarlo, we can use it para clarificación o énfasis. We use it for clarification or emphasis. So if we took out the a su hermano, if we just had Juan le escribió, it would translate to Juan wrote to him. And so we want to clarify that we're talking about his brother, so we add the a plus the person. So an indirect object pronoun is always clarified by a plus the person. So that's a really helpful hint for you when you're doing your activities. You're always going to look for the a plus the persona. That tells you what your indirect object is. And then it should be easy to figure out what the indirect object pronoun is based on that. Juan les habló a sus profesores. Juan spoke to his professors. Okay, colocación de los IOPs. The placement for your IOPs, your indirect object pronouns, are going to be the same as your placement for the direct object pronouns. So we can put them before un verbo conjugado. Juan me habló. Juan spoke to me. Otra opción es al final del infinitivo. An infinitivo is an AR, ER, IR verb. So if you have a verb that ends in AR, ER, IR, you can attach your IOP to the end of it. Juan no quiere hablarme. Juan doesn't want to speak to me. Juan no quiere hablarme. And just like with the direct objects, you have two options. You can put it before the conjugated verb, or you can attach it to the infinitive. So you could also say Juan no me quiere hablar. Juan no me quiere hablar. It would be another option. When you have an affirmative command, you have to attach it to the end. Hábleme, speak to me. And when you have a negative command, it goes before it goes after the no, before the verb. So no me hable. Don't speak to me. Okay. Practiquemos. This is an activity that came from your book, and I'm not sure if this page is correct. I think it's from the old edition. So the page numbers might be a little off, but you can kind of search around and see if you can find it. So Romeo dar flores a Julieta. So Romeo gave flowers to Juliet. I'm going to use the past tense of this verb. So if you haven't watched the a video on preterite conjugations. This may seem a little confusing to you. Romeo dar flores a Julieta. Romeo gave flowers to Juliet. That's the first thing we need to do, is kind of translate our sentence. Then we want to identify our indirect object pronoun, which is a Julieta. So that's where the le comes from. And then dar, who gave? Romeo. So our conjugation goes with Romeo. So Romeo le dio flores a Julieta. Romeo gave flowers to Juliet. Here's another example. Snoopy dar besos a Lucy. Snoopy gave kisses to Lucy. So to whom? To Lucy. So that would be le. And then Snoopy gave, so le dio. It's important to recognize that the le goes with a Lucy and the dio goes with Snoopy. Eva dar una manzana a Adán. Eve gave an apple to Adam. Eve gave an apple to whom? To Adam, to him, so that would be le. Eva le dio una manzana. Dio is because of Eva. Yo prometí decir la verdad a ti. I promised to tell you the truth. Or you can translate it to, I promised to tell the truth to you. Again, there's one of those situations where the to is not always expressed or doesn't have to be expressed when we say it in English. So to whom? I promise to tell the truth to whom? To you. And so to you is te. And then our verb conjugation is going to go with yo. So yo te prometí decir la verdad. That una shouldn't be in there. Little typo. Or, because we have two verbs, we could also attach it to the end of decir. Yo prometí decirte la verdad. Both ways are acceptable. Here's más. La doctora Schlesinger ofrecer consejos a sus radioyentes. Dr. Laura Schlesinger offered advice to her listeners. She offered advice to whom? A sus radioyentes. So that's les. And then ofrecer is going to conjugate to ella. So les ofreció. Los bancos prestar dinero a nosotros. The banks lent money to us. They lent money to whom? To us, a nosotros. So that would be nos. And then our verb conjugation, who lent? Los bancos. So los bancos nos prestaron dinero a nosotros. Los asistentes de vuelo servir bebidas a los pasajeros. The flight attendants served drinks to the passengers. They served drinks to whom? To the passengers, to them, so that's les. Los asistentes les sirvieron. Sirvieron goes with los asistentes. They're the ones who served. So really important that you're able to distinguish between the subject and the object pronoun and know that those two things are not related. They don't go together. So remember, your verb conjugation goes with your subject, not your object pronoun. Those have no relation to each other. George Washington prometer a su padre decir la verdad. George Washington promised to tell his father the truth, or he promised to tell the truth to his father. So to whom? He told the truth to whom? To his father, so that would be le. George Washington le prometió a su padre decir la verdad. Or, and I didn't have the other one, you could also put George Washington prometió decirle la verdad a su padre. All right, here's another really good practice that you should do to check your comprehension and to see if you're on the right track. I'm on the Conjuguemos website. So it's CONJUGUEMOS, conjuguemos.com. And you're going to go over here to Spanish grammar. And then you will select number, why am I not seeing this? All right. You will select number 1, or number 43, indirect object pronouns. And this is just like the activity that we did. You'll use the present tense in these. So yo dar el juguete a ti, yo te doy el juguete a ti. And so you can go through these and practice, and then you can check your work and it will give you feedback, tell you if you're right or wrong and what the correct answer is. So let me know if you have any questions on indirect object pronouns. Send me an email, and I'll see you soon.